Well, hello everyone, and welcome to the very first inaugural episode of Secure by Design by Checkmarx. We're looking forward to bringing to you an episode today that brings two different thought processes together to be able to help share a little bit of wisdom from both an industry leader as well as a product manager, product director here at Checkmarx. So first, let me introduce myself. I'm Bill Weinberg. I'm the VP of Solution Engineering at Checkmarx. And I'm looking forward to be able to not just host this one episode, but future episodes as we go forward as well. I also have two guests with me today that we'll spend a little bit of time with. Victor Cortez, the CISO at Trans Network, and David Duale, the Director of Product at Checkmarx. Victor, why don't you give us a little bit of your background, if you would, please?
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for the invite. I appreciate that this time to talk about security by design. My background is I spent some time working for financial industries, so several years as a CISO, as well as a company in a global footprint for develop also technology. And that's my background. I also attend this event, the RSA conference for many years, like 5-7 years ago. It's since 5 or 7 years ago. So it's very interesting to learn and educate myself about cybersecurity and the new technologies and the new trends.
All right, great. And David, why don't you give us a little bit about yourself, please?
Sure. Thank you very much, Bill. I'm very happy to be here with Victor as well. At Checkmarx, I'm leading all the software supply chain and product portfolio. So it's including all our products from SCA containers, secrets, and also our AI supply chain security product that I believe we'll be talking about today.
Great. Great. Victor, let me come back over to you. If you wouldn't mind, share a little bit about what is it that you see kind of in the industry right now, some of the key challenges that you're running into as you think about a lot of the changes in the agentic space today.
Yeah, I guess everybody's talking about AI. It's the most important challenge that I think every company has today, because at the end you are getting more and more requests to use AI to be more productive, to take advantage of this kind of technology. So that is on a subject that I think is a hot topic right now into the companies. And even I learned many conferences in Rosé today that they are talking about AI for everything. So AI for operation, AI for productivity of the technologies, or for solutionings over the cybersecurity space. So AI is the hot topic right now.
So, but AI is kind of the buzzword. Are you seeing any true benefit coming from it yet, or is it still just a buzz in your organization?
Well, we are starting using, but yeah, definitely, I guess if you have a good program and use the AI in a smart way, you can take advantage of that. So you can be more productive in some specific business processes. You can use it to and security also definitions and design. So that is something that I think you can take advantage and it's useful. Yeah.
Great. So, David, tell us a little bit about how AI is impacting the work you're doing with our products at Checkmarx.
Yeah, so I think like Victor said, now we come to a phase where we're not experimenting anymore. I think we're already using as part of our regular workflows. And we're expecting both benefits and challenges. I think that the benefit of providing solutions to the challenges that we want to resolve on a daily basis is a huge benefit, much faster, but it also brings challenges. Like we know that from an R&D perspective, development teams are shipping much more code than what they used to in the past. The increase of pull requests, the increase of quantity of code that needs to be now tested and verified has increased tremendously. And we need to pay attention to what the solutions we can put in place in order to manage all these additional input and make sure that we can still stay compliant and secured at the same time.
So it's kind of interesting as I listen to both of you, AI is being used internally. There's lots of ways about how it's helping to be able to accelerate, like you were saying, David, a lot more releases. But Victor, something that you were mentioning earlier as we were talking before we started recording here was the adoption of AI inside of customers. And I've learned as I'm talking with customers as well, that adoption is struggling even when they're given tooling to be able to make AI easier for them to be able to use and still being secure, that adoption is still kind of nebulous, I would say. Have you seen that at all in your work with Transnetwork?
Yes, I guess one of the most important things, and I did this since the beginning of when we have it in front of the challenge of the AI, it's create a right policy to evaluate, to measure the risk of the AI in each of the programs or each of the projects that you use it. As David mentioned, in one of the use cases that we are seeing more, it's the coding for the developers. So this can be very helpful to improve the quality, the secure way that they are developing, and so we are more faster also to deliver the products that you are developing. So that is something that use cases that we are using, but we need to be very careful on how we are protecting the developers, because AI is not the 100% the reasonable. So you need to train, you need to teach the model to ensure that they are delivering what you want, and helping as well.
Yeah, I think it's interesting when you think about take outside of just vibe coding, you think about AI. Maybe this is too fundamental to think about, but if you were to ask any of your favorite AI engines, what is the best photo image editing software out there? At different times, you're going to get one response that might say Adobe Photoshop. You might get the exact same question that you ask and get a response of GIMP, or you might get some other open source tool that's out there as well. So you never know really what you're going to get. And does that pose any concerns for you as a CISO, knowing that even as you do education with your development teams and as you do education across the entire organization around how to use AI, from a security perspective, does that lack of consistency, or maybe not a lack of consistency, but the unknown from a compliance perspective, does that cause any concern or issues for you and your organization?
Yeah, definitely, and that is the importance of education, as you mentioned, education at all the levels. We need to educate our board, our C levels, that so they can understand the challenge and the risk that the AI represents, so we can take the right decisions when we are talking about that, when we are considering to implement in any business process, in any help that we need, because everybody's talking about AI. So even in technology, all the products at any level, like IT, security, etc., everybody is talking about it. They are making solutions about AI. So, but it's not only to be able to implement them. So you need to consider also evaluate the risk, and that it can be sustainable in the time on the long term.
Yeah. And David, do you see any issues around that? How are you looking at the portfolio you're responsible for? How are you looking at leveraging AI to be able to help get a better understanding of that consistency? Think about it from a compliance perspective. Is there anything that you're focused on as we look at building products about how do we help you provide that consistency?
Yeah, so I think one important element is both context and guardrails that we can set around the usage of these tools. For instance, at Checkmarx, we spend a lot of time defining all the contextual information that the GenAI tool we're using will have to take into account before addressing all the questions or requests that we are providing them. And that's kind of very important to make it really independent from the tool, because you could use one tool today, and because of the evolution of the technology that goes so fast, tomorrow, like the next best tool will be a different one. But if you set the right contextual information that you could send into this GenAI tool, I think you can limit both the confusion of the models, but also this alternative answers for the same question that you might get from sometimes. So that's one element that we spend quite some time on at Checkmarx. Another one is guardrails. Once you get the output of the model, it's to have a way to actually be able to assess. And that's one part where you could both put technological solution, but also training and education for the developers or for the product teams to use the model or the GenAI tools the way they should, and be really like criticize the information that you're receiving, iterate. It's very often not only like just a answer, a question and then an answer that you can reuse, but it's a dialogue that you start. Also something that we started to implement that might be like the third aspect is to put the context of the model to be able to actually challenge your question, challenge what you're requesting in order for him to have enough context. So we force the model to actually not already find a solution to your problem, but force you to provide the minimum context it needs to make sure that the answer would be accurate.
So, Victor, one question that kind of came to my mind is listening to both of you. I was talking with a different CISO a little while ago, and he was making the comment about his interaction with his role and the CTO is at times a little bit of a conflict about who really owns the aspect of securing the development lifecycle overall from beginning to end. So developers are always going to be using the tools that they've liked the most, that helps them to be the most productive. And the developers always want to be able to make sure that they're hitting their metrics about releasing the applications on time.
Yep.
But then the securing of the application, the CISO sometimes goes, you know what, I can't control the developers.
Yep.
I can't force them to use a tool. What's the relationship you have at Transnetwork with your counterparts that are responsible for the development side, and how are you helping partner with them?
That's a very serious question because this is a real case that in many companies happen because it's a interest conflict that if the CISO reports to any IT line, and then you cannot have the power or the enough ability to make the security happen. So in realistic world, you need to divide the responsibilities, and the CISO needs to be able to push the security and also ensure that the policies and all the security controls and all the tools they are using to protect and secure the code. And that's a conversation for me. In my case, I have many conversations with the CTO just to be aligned on how the importance of the security and for the developers they need to consider. And one of the goals that we set it for them in a global perspective is that all the developers needs to deliver secure code. And that is something that we ensure with the different controls like Checkmarx, ensuring that the code is reviewed, but at the same time, educated them and also investing in tools like Checkmarx, like others, to ensure that we have the proper view of the security in the code.
So I don't think there's a developer out there that doesn't want to deliver secure code, but when there's that conflict of, well, I've written it, I think it's secure, but you're saying something different. How do you help manage through that to be able to make sure that what is still being done by the developer is secure, and so there's not that conflict?
Yeah, in fact, that is the reason of the tools. We create a complete dashboard, a complete view that we can use it to pursue the goal of secure code. So we can bring all the visibility about what kind of risk represent the threats or the no code approved instead of the deliver just for the rush of the time to deliver any development.
Yeah. Okay. And David, what is being done inside of Checkmarx that is actually starting to be able to help show how developers are doing at delivering secure code? Because we've always focused primarily from an AppSec perspective as to what's the landscape, what's your risk posture inside of your entire organization. But now, as we need to help kind of shift back towards the developer side of the house and partner with them, how are we helping developers start to see a little bit more about how they are doing about delivering secure code?
Yeah. So we have several aspects, and we actually now deliver new products that are aligned with all these generative AI assistants that are producing more code and more pull requests, as I mentioned. The first one is our AI Dev Assist, where from within the developer IDE, locally, we have this scanner that can actually identify any vulnerabilities within the source code before the commit, which means that developers get already a security review of their code before it gets out of their own computer instance. And that allows to reduce the number of vulnerabilities that are actually being sent through the pipeline. So that's very important because it allows developers to really fix from within the code and the IDE these vulnerabilities. In addition to that, once the code is being pulled into the branch and the pull request is being analyzed, we have triage and remediation assistance. It's two different agents that are running in the pipeline that after the scan results are being received from Checkmarx can help developers both triage but also remediate. I'll take a really easy example. If part of the code is the call to an open source package that has a vulnerability, of course, our SCA scan will provide the next vulnerable package version that we recommend to upgrade the package to, so the developers can actually eliminate this vulnerability. Now, as we all know, updating a package to a new version is not as simple. Usually it requires code refactoring. Now, our remediation agent will provide safe refactor of the code, which means that it will not only recommend the version of the package to upgrade to, but also we provide the pull request of the change of the code to adapt to this new version. So if, I don't know, the new package version has a different function signature, it will have the developer refactor his code to adapt to this new version. And that's already something that could speed up the process of both triaging and remediating the vulnerabilities, which comes along with this, what we talked about earlier, with this increase of line of code produced by AI and this responsibility that developers still has to approve that code that they haven't written themselves, but that can bring with them additional vulnerabilities.
You mentioned something interesting, David. In my case, that is very helpful because we automate with pipelines just to ensure that we can have inline detection for vulnerabilities is one of them. And as mandatory, the developers needs to be installed the EDE just so they can use every time that they have the commitment, so they have the development by phases, the detection of vulnerabilities in online. So we can be proactive to remediate instead of at the end of the project to look how remediate, and this can be very painful because you need to change something bigger,
Yeah,
that.
exactly. And it was painful in the past, but it's even more painful now because once developers are interacting with AI and even like using GenAI agent to generate code, to plan and generate their code, like there is a feedback we got sometimes from developers that, okay, it's not my code. Like I didn't write this. Okay, it's coming from an agent, but you approved it. So if you pushed away the decision making of fixing vulnerabilities after the delivery, it's even more difficult for the developer to come back to that because it's not even his own code. So this is even more critical to do it proactively, as you mentioned, even more critical now than before.
Yes.
All right. Well, I want to start to wrap up this first inaugural podcast that we have of Secure by Design, but I want to finish with one question that I didn't prep either of you with. So how is it that you have used some type of AI in this week? And it's what, Tuesday? All right, so I'll give you, maybe you can go a little bit further back into last week. In the past week, how have you used AI to benefit what you're doing in your day-to-day job? Victor, I'll start with you.
Yeah, well, we are trying to implement agentic AIs for Salesforce, for example, to improve our response for our clients. So we try to put some specific models to answer the questions about the status of remittances. So they can ask for us in an easy way how the status of the remittances without human interaction. So that is a project that we delivered last week. So it's very useful for us because we avoid human interaction and we are more productive in the time of the people.
Great. Yep. David, what about you?
So at Checkmarx, part of my group, we're exploring new products around the CI/CD security, and we're actually using AI in order to actually explore several potential products in parallel based on our company strategy, our current competition, customer feedback. We're bringing all that input together. That's part of the context I was mentioning earlier, in order to actually assess different products in parallel, different future products in parallel, and identify the most potential.
Awesome. Well, Victor, David, I really appreciate the time that you've given with us today. And I want to also say thank you to all of those that have listened. Would welcome any comments or feedback that you might have around or any other topics that you might be able to want to have us delve into at some point into the future. But thanks for taking the time, and we sign off from RSA from our first inaugural podcast of Secure by Design.